Hi everyone, welcome back to Learn With Me. I'm Deborah Hansen, and today we're going to look at AP Psychology 5.5, Treatment of Psychological Disorders. This section has 7 CED questions. This is the first one. We're going to go through all 7 of them on separate videos to make it easy for you. Here on the slide, you're going to see all the key terms that you need to know for 5.5. Those are on a separate video with the definition and real-life examples. I always say the key to the 5 really is learning the key terms. You have to know your key terms. You have to know the definition. You have to be able to apply them. That is really the key to getting that 5 on the AP exam. So before we get started, thanks to everybody who's already subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for the comments, messages, emails, the likes. Everything's been so great. Thank you so much. It's been really great to see the numbers going up. And apparently Clifford also appreciates all of the likes and comments and everything. So let's get started with the first CED question. This question is, describe research and trends in the treatment of psychological disorders. Let's dive into that one. We're going to unpack everything. We're going to look at the essential knowledge you need to know to do well on the exam. Let's start with a little overview of psychotherapy effectiveness. We're going to look at how research consistently shows that psychotherapy is generally effective in treating psychological disorders. Here's the evidence. Meta-analytic studies reveal that treated individuals often show more improvement than untreated individuals. Effectiveness depends on matching the therapy type to the specific disorder. I'm going to start by talking about a really important concept in clinical psychology, evidence-based interventions. In mental health treatment, it's crucial that we use methods that have actually been proven to work. That's what evidence-based interventions are all about, using therapies and treatments backed by scientific research and real-world results. Here's the definition. Evidence-based interventions are treatments that have been tested through empirical research, meaning clinical trials, control studies, and data collection, and have been shown to be effective for specific psychological disorders. So rather than just relying on guesswork or outdated techniques, these approaches are grounded in solid evidence that they actually help people get better. So now we're going to look at some examples of evidence-based theories. We're going to go through some of the most common and widely used evidence-based treatments. Okay, we're going to start with cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. One of the most well-researched therapies used to treat anxiety, depression, phobias, and many more. It helps people recognize and challenge negative thought patterns and replaces them with healthier ones. The second one is exposure therapy, often used for treating phobias and PTSD. Gradually exposes the person to feared objects or memory in a controlled way to reduce anxiety over time. The next one, dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT. It's a form of CBT, specifically designed for borderline personality disorders. It focuses on emotional regulation, mindfulness, and improving interpersonal relationships. The last one we're going to talk about is medication. This is combined with therapy. For more severe disorders like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or major depressive disorder, medication is often used alongside therapy. So, for example, antipsychotic drugs for schizophrenia or mood stabilizers for bipolar disorder. So why does this matter? So why are evidence-based interventions important? Because 1, they ensure that people get the most effective care based on research and clinical trials. 2, they also provide standardized methods that therapists can follow and leading to more consistent outcomes. And 3, most importantly, they help clients make progress towards recovery and improved health. What's our key takeaway here? Using evidence-based interventions means we're not just trying to help, we're using strategies that are proven to help. Now let's talk about an increasingly important concept in modern psychology, cultural humility in therapy. As our world becomes more diverse, it's essential for mental health professionals to recognize and respect the cultural backgrounds of their clients. This approach ensures that therapy is not just effective, but also inclusive and respectful. Cultural humility is not just about knowing facts about different cultures. It's about being open, curious, and respectful. It means therapists don't just assume that they know everything about a person's experience based on their background. Instead, they actively listen and learn from the client to better understand their worldview. So let's look at some key points. Number 1, recognizing cultural influence on mental health. People from different cultures may have different beliefs about mental illness, emotions, and treatment. For example, some people may see mental illness as a spiritual issue or feel shame or stigma around getting therapy. A therapist practicing cultural humility will ask questions like, how does your culture view this issue? Or what values are important in your family? The second one we're going to talk about is building trust and reducing stigma. When clients feel their culture is acknowledged and respected, they're more likely to open up and engage in therapy. This also helps reduce feelings of judgment or misunderstanding, which can be major barriers for getting help. The last one we're going to talk about is adapting treatment to fit the client. Culturally humble therapists don't just use a one-size-fits-all kind of approach. They adjust their approach to match the client's needs, values, and communication style. So, for example, in a culture where family is central, the therapist might involve the family dynamics more in the therapeutic process. Here's some examples. Let's say a client comes from a culture where elders hold authority in family decision-making. A therapist who practices cultural humility might explore how family structure affects the client's levels of stress or mental health. Rather than immediately challenging those values, this makes therapy more effective and respectful. Cultural humility is an ongoing process. Therapists must continually reflect on their own biases, seek feedback, and remain open to learning. Ultimately, it helps build a stronger connection between the therapist and the client and ensures that mental health care is both compassionate and culturally responsive. Now let's talk about one of the most important factors in successful therapy, the therapeutic alliance. No matter how effective a treatment method might be, it won't work unless there's a strong supportive connection between the therapist and the client. The therapeutic alliance is the collaborative relationship that forms between a therapist and a client. It's built on mutual trust, open communication, and shared commitment to the client's well-being. Think of it as the foundation that supports everything else that's going to happen in therapy. We're going to break that down. First, we're going to talk about mutual trust and respect. Both the therapist and the client need to feel safe and respected in the space. The client trusts that the therapist is there to support them, and the therapist respects the client's values, pace, and goals. The next one is clear communication and shared goals. Successful therapy involves setting goals together and checking on the progress. Open communication ensures that both parties understand what's working, what isn't, and then how to adjust the process. The last one is empathy and understanding from the therapist. A therapist's ability to empathize, to truly understand what the client is feeling, is one of the most powerful tools in therapy. The empathy helps the client feel heard, validated, and supported, which is really essential for healing. A strong therapeutic alliance has been consistently linked to better treatment outcomes, regardless of the specific treatment techniques being used. In other words, how the therapist connects with the client can be just as important as the treatment itself. When the client feels safe, understood, and supported, they're more likely to open up, stay engaged, and then commit to change. So whether it's cognitive-based behavioral therapy, psychodynamic therapy, or any other approach, a positive therapeutic relationship is often what determines the success of therapy. So building that alliance, it takes time, consistency, and care, but it is really worth it. Let's talk a bit about how things are changing. As mental health awareness continues to grow, so does the way we research and treat psychological disorders. Let's explore some of the key trends shaping the future of mental health care, from how therapy is delivered to how it's tailored to each person. One major trend is the rise in integrated treatment plans, where psychotherapy and medication are combined to treat more severe mental health disorders. So, for example, someone with major depressive disorder might benefit from both cognitive behavioral therapy and an SSRI medication. Similarly, people with bipolar disorder often require both mood stabilizers and ongoing talk therapy to manage their symptoms effectively. Another huge shift is the growth of teletherapy, therapy conducted via phone or video calls. Teletherapy became especially popular during and after the COVID-19 pandemic, making therapy more accessible. Especially for people in rural areas or with mobility issues, it's now a mainstream option that allows for flexible scheduling and improved access to care. So more and more, therapy is moving away from that one-size-fits-all model and towards more personalized treatment. This means that therapists and mental health professionals are considering a person's unique history, symptoms, lifestyle, and preferences when creating a treatment plan. So it might include adapting therapy techniques, trying different medication combinations, or even using genetic testing to guide medication decisions. So instead of only treating mental illness after it appears, there's a growing focus on prevention and early intervention. And this includes programs that build emotional resilience in schools, stress management workshops at the workplace, mental health screenings to catch issues early, and the idea is to promote mental wellness before things escalate. Finally, we're seeing an increased effort to reduce the stigma around mental health through public education, campaigns, celebrity advocacy, and open discussions in schools and media. Mental illness is being normalized as something that can and should be treated just like any physical illness. The shift is making more people feel comfortable about seeking help, which is a huge step forward. These trends represent an exciting evolution in how we understand and care for mental health. And with advances in technology, research, and public awareness, treatment is becoming more accessible, more effective, and individualized more than ever before. Okay, let's talk about some key takeaways and things that we need to know on the AP exam. 1, you need to be familiar with evidence-based therapies and their uses. 2, understand the importance of cultural humility in therapy. 3, recognize the role of therapeutic alliance in treatment success. And 4, be able to explain trends like teletherapy and personalized treatment. So that's all the essential knowledge you need to know for the first CED question of 5.5, which was describe, research, and trends in the treatment of psychological disorders. Stay tuned for the second CED question. Look for on my channel. Please, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, or like, or left me a comment, please do so. Love hearing from all of you. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.